And welcome back to the LEC post-game lobby. I'm QuickShot. I'm joined here by Vedius and G2's coach, Grabs. First of all, Lord, that was a fantastic interview, and I love that you asked Jankos to be careful what he says on stream, because it didn't come true. Grabs, do you ever have words with your players about some of the things they say in social media, or do you just find it fun?
I think it's funny. Like,
Yeah.
for me, Port is only the mentality they have during scrim time, so as long as they're serious there, I don't mind what they say on stream or on Twitter.
I'm actually really happy you said that, because it makes really good TV. It really makes like everything a lot more fun, and you get to have these banter
G2
moments.
in a nutshell.
Also, if I don't do that, then Carlos is back in my DMs and tells me to let it fun. So yeah, how about that one?
Okay, so we'll focus on the game a little bit, like 22 minutes. I don't think it was a big surprise you guys beat Rogue, but Vedius, what was your take on just how clean and how well G2 played?
I mean, it wasn't super clean. I saw that dive bot lane, boys. I will say that it did feel that G2 do what they often do, and they get a little bit annoyed after a loss, and they take it out on the next team. It definitely felt like Caps had something to prove with his Akali, which is very much like, yesterday was a mistake on my part. I need to show the world that my Akali is actually good, and I think he had a better game today.
I also think Caps never was as silent as today. So I agree with you. I think he had like a little mission on his own.
I'm a little bit sad, because when Vedius was chatting, it was on a single cam of his face, and Grabs' reaction was basically, you know, how did the team respond after the loss? Obviously, we spoke to Caps and PGL yesterday, but what was the mood like on the shuttle back and today?
Just disappointment, but not about the loss, but how we played. Because, I mean, we know we should be the better team. We made it too easy for them to win, especially in the early game. So we knew probably a loss would come, right? The 8-0, of course, you wanted to do it, but it's hard, especially with how we play the game and how cocky our players sometimes get. But just the way we lost was disappointing. But again, we're not going to change our ways. We're going to keep being the same team, having fun in game, and it showed today it can work as well.
So the one thing I also want to say is that we often talk about G2 as this team that's like not an early game team, but something I actually speak a lot to Grabs band, something I praise him for. I don't know why I don't praise Jankos, but I actually think Jankos' early game is like one of the best that we have in the league. And his ability to generate pressure and control the map is actually very impressive. But usually it doesn't always result in like overwhelming gold leads or like massive snowballs. It just feels like he's a very patient player, and he seems to track and control the early game very, very well. But I'm curious as to what happened yesterday. Why wasn't that Jankos there yesterday, and why did it feel Broxer kind of had his number?
He was the same Jankos. Like, Jankos basically is a map hack. Like, he's that good in most games. It's just that even though he gave information, the people did not listen really.
I see.
So, for example, we full know that they leashed both sides. Like, Gragas will be top side. Caps, of course, died already level 1.
Yep.
And then wasn't prepared for the dive. So I felt like we kind of knew where they can be, or Jankos knew, and he gave the information, but people played a bit more disrespectful than usual.
Makes sense.
For example, one time Wonder also in mid lane when Gragas could be there, and Olaf is nearby, but not around. So, yeah, just a happy game, like my G would say. It didn't go away.
Caps actually specifically called that out after the fact, and he was saying how, you know, playing long lane, I made a few mistakes. Maybe I should have thought about the lane. Being very deliberate with his word choice. But, of course, that was a loss yesterday. Today was the win against Rogue. We do have the key player of the game. It was Perks. He picked up 49% of the votes, adding another one to his tally. So congratulations to Perks. I want to talk about some of the other results today, because a few of them were quite surprising. And I'd like to start with Fnatic versus XL, and start just considering, like, first of all, how well XL played early, and maybe how well or how lacking of focus maybe Fnatic were, because there's two sides. Did you manage to get most of the game? Because I know you guys arrive as they're playing, right?
Yeah, we had like the draft bidding and everything during the early game, so we kind of turned on the TV and was like, what, 1-9?
Yep.
We're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? But at the same time, and that's what often happens with the lower end tier teams, that they don't know how to close the game. And we could see that they really struggled on how to approach the siege. Therefore, we were not too surprised of Fnatic still turning it around. And I mean, Exeter just made very clear mistakes. I don't think they get too often into that situation, so I can see why they have issues.
I mean, Reckless had an absolute stand-up performance alongside Hylissang with the Ezreal Yuumi. They got a number of kills around the inhibitor, bought a lot of time, stalling the further push. I mean, Vedius, how did you read that game? Because I bought into the hype. I actually kind of wanted XL to take down Fnatic, and I wanted the storyline.
I mean, the irony is, Fnatic did a lot of what G2 did in their game against Fnatic, because we saw Nemesis dying 1v1 top. Seems like that. Wait, Poppy can do this much damage, and this is how it works. And Expect had a fantastic laning phase. They died 2v2 bot. Because Hillisang made some uncharacteristic mistakes, and then Bwipo was getting ganked in mid. So I just felt like I agreed very much with what Bwipo was saying in his interview, where he was like, we didn't have very many options in the early game, but I also felt like there were a lot of individual mistakes, and maybe Grabs can confirm this for me, but when you have a very important game, combined with a game against a bottom tier team, you usually put more prep into one team than the other. And so in my opinion, Fnatic put a lot of focus this week onto G2, and then coming into XL, while I can imagine they still did prep, it was just that was not
Also,
their focus.
The quantity, the quality. I mean, the priority is taking down the MSI champions, being the undefeated
I'm not going to say that for certain because I don't know what Fnatic's prep looked like.
Safe bet,
but like I would say that coming into that game, they expected they were heavy favorites, and so they showed an element of disrespect, and I think that they got caught off guard multiple times by XL.
They ended up winning, of course, showing the caliber. I want to turn to the fact that Origin lost to Splice. Now, Origin's one of the teams that's going to Rift Rivals and then being taken down by Splice. I watched that game and I see a lot of similarities in how these teams play and their approach. I still felt that Origin are a slightly better team with slightly better players, but today wasn't the case. So, you know, are you surprised seeing that Splice can take down Origin, and Origin also had a slightly sluggish game yesterday?
I just think it came down to Origin opting for the Drave Morgana. And it goes that simple. You should win the bot matchup. But if Patrick, like I think, got cut out, like completely alone topside one time, didn't snowball the lead, and of course Sarah Khan will be strong in team fights. So I think just Origin went a bit more aggressive in the draft than they usually would. It didn't pay out for them, and then Splice, of course, in a comfort zone, having good skating as well. So, but yeah, as you said, like Origin is a bit slumping right now. It feels like it. We actually thought, of course, that Origin and Fnatic will be the two best teams coming into it. But they didn't progress from what the finals, it feels like, for now. They still have this very thought-out plan, but they're still not good at reacting to something else. So if something comes up that they didn't anticipate, they struggle. Luckily, we play against an A, so they're not really good at surprising people. They're more like being 20-minute mid lane. So I think they will be fine.
What's your
Grab
take?
said it, not me. Grab said it.
Hold on, because actually I want to go deep dive on Rift Rivals a little bit, but I mean, let's stick with like OG this weekend. I was still pretty happy with OG coming into the week.
Nah, but like you can't be because they were second last split.
Yeah, but
and you can only assume that they would get better.
How close was their fight with Fnatic and G2 over
but like the problem I'm having with that argument now is that like sure they had fine games, but now I'm putting it more down to Fnatic made mid-game mistakes and G2 took fights that they shouldn't have. But it was more down to their opposition playing poorly rather than Origin looking that good. And so while I definitely think on an individual level, Alfari and Patrick are better than what they were as a team what they were individually last split, I think their teamwork is still the same as it was last split. And in my opinion, that's not okay because they can't have the same slump at the beginning of the split that they had last split when, let's say, G2 wasn't in the league, right? And this super team that we now have wasn't there. They would have been our representatives at MSI. And, like, not showing growth in that period of time is surprising to me and a little disappointing. So I expected a lot more from Origin.
Is that something you agree with, Grabs? You know, when you look at this team that makes it all the way to finals and now comes into the week, we've got 3 weeks, 6 games under their belts. Did you expect more from them, or is this just the ceiling of the team?
The way I see it, it's really hard because to improve, you get pushed. And their playstyle wins them most of the games against lower-end tier teams, so middle table team. So I think the only teams that can punish them right now consistently would be us and Fnatic. And if they don't scrim us for a long time, then it's hard for them to push. Like the same thing we are kind of afraid of because we came back from MSI, we felt tired, but we completely rolled over teams and scrims. So you could kind of see yesterday the same mentality of saying, whatever we do, it will be fine. We still win the game, and suddenly we don't. So I think they kind of have the same issue. Like they're still a good team, right? They still have the fundamentals down. It's just the small things. And them losing and being aware, okay, this is not how we can actually win games, will help them in the long run. So I think it's better for them to struggle now and still have like 6 weeks to play
fair.
than later in the split.
I actually have to ask a question though, because watching Fnatic take you guys down yesterday, if we'd swapped the name tags and turned nameplates off in game, you would have said, yeah, that's G2, that's how we play. It's rare to see your team get run over in that fashion.
Is it though?
Is it?
Though? PDB happened twice. I mean,
They also lost the game to Team Liquid. And
Okay,
like,
domestically, shall we say, right? But the main thing is, like, how much more can you learn from that, especially the fact that it was Fnatic, that it was this team that hasn't really been able to do that all year long, you know, going back to the drawing board.
But I also, to add on to that, you actually did the same thing against Fnatic the last time you met, because Caps was 0-5. So, like, if you're telling me that you learned, I mean, you obviously got better from that point on.
Is he a
but, like,
sleeper agent? No, but
I mean, he tweeted after all those times, so maybe he is. But to be fair, like, these kind of games don't teach you something. It just teaches you that you can't do the same thing over and over again, because you have to go back to your to the roots and go back to earth a bit. Don't think you can win every game just by being better, because that's not how the league works. That's not how league works.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't teach us much about the game itself, more about the mentality. So the same thing happened last year around. We had Promiscu playing there, and even their Fnatic didn't look convincing. I think for yesterday, it sounds really weird because they're a strong team, but I didn't feel like they played that well, just us inting. Of course, it's something you can spin both ways.
Yeah,
right?
it's perspective.
Exactly.
You can defend the viewpoint of both sides.
So we don't feel that threatened. I think, as we said, we lost to Liquid as well in group stage because I inted in draft, but my players are used to that one. So yesterday, there were some arguments as well around that. So I think in a best of 5, if you can adapt, then I think we should still like win 3-1 convincingly.
I like that
today.
too.
And to be fair, that is something that Grab said a lot to me at MSI, where he was like, a lot of people think that we're a really good best of 1 team, but in actuality, we think we're a better best of 5 team because we have smart players and we have deep champion pools, so we're quick to pivot and grow.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
And creative
they went
thinking as well.
6-0 in their last playoff games, and they only got faster after each game.
Oh, I know,
right?
to 74 minutes in EU, 70 minutes at MSI.
So, like, I will give Grabs the benefit. Like, in a best of 5, it would be difficult to vote against G2, but you can't take anything away from Fnatic. And I, as a European fan, I'm just happy that we have 2 teams that seem to be fighting at the top of the table.
Do you know when the next best of 5 is? Do you know that when we're going to play
I believe
another?
it's next week.
What's happening there?
We'll be playing in North America.
Next week, G2, Origin, and Fnatic will be traveling to Los Angeles. They will be representing Europe at Rift Rivals. The tournament will be starting on Thursday. It's G2 versus Cloud9. I want to get your take, first of all, on how much fun we're going to have, how much vacation time.
Also, I had, like, this at the beginning of Ready Check, I was like, there's no way we're going to lose any games. And then I watched today's games, and I'm like, I wish the backdrop.
The question I asked you was, what can we expect from our EU teams? And your answer in sort of one line was
that we would go undefeated.
You've had 5 and a bit hours. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Does North America have a chance, Vedius?
Yes, North America definitely has a chance.
I don't agree, but sure.
I mean, all right.
Okay, what I will say is, when I came back from this game, my players were talking about role swapping for Rift Rivals.
Right?
So it might be that we're inting, but since Fnatic and OG didn't have the national experience this year, they're gonna try hard and they're gonna carry us. Worst case.
Okay.
But in normal case, even with Mickey as AD and perk support, I think we can win against NA. So.
Oh my word!
To be fair, Fnatic has already beaten you to the role swap. To be fair, so
been beaten to the roll swap. We'll get to that in a second. Look, we got some clips over here of TSM, Cloud9, Team Liquid, the 3 teams are going to be playing. I know, obviously, as you don't prep for these teams, right? And you're not going to watch them as analytically as maybe you will now over the next couple of days. What's going to be driving you and the players outside of just beating North America, right? I know it's show matches, it's exciting, it's single round robin, so you guys will be playing each of the teams. Yep. So, you know, what is on the line? What's at stake for you and the team?
We're not outspot right now, and I mean, all Panther said, of course, those 3 teams are strong, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, all memes aside, they have a shot, of course. Especially Liquid, even though we beat them 3-0, I still think they're a very good team. Especially if they get a good draft for themselves, which they didn't do in the final. For us, we're kind of not spot right now because I feel like, we feel like a bit tired. I know there's a meme about being tired, and we didn't have a real break after MSI, and there's no surprise that Liquid, IG, SKT, Flash also all struggling. Like, IG won today, but they still don't play their best, right?
Yeah.
And we feel the same. Like, we're still in the same, like, MSI phase, basically.
It's the MSI hangover.
Yeah, we didn't have a closure, actually. So it's good for us to have at least the week break afterwards. So I can't promise that we're going to be like 100% prep and full try-out in those games. Of course, we want to win, though, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're G2. We want to entertain the people. And that's something that's going to happen for sure. If it then ends in a win or in a loss, I don't know.
really appreciate your candor and honesty in that response. But what's your expectation then for Fnatic and OG before we jump in there, Vedis? Like, do you think these two teams that didn't go to MSI, that don't have the bragging rights that G2 Esports does, do they go in there and absolutely try hard for their lives and really try to show up? I mean, is that what you'd anticipate?
I think none of the teams really do because there's a competitive disadvantage if you show too much. Because this is what happens last year when we came back. I think the MSI teams went 1-5, and the only win was because players played Fnatic. So other teams are watching you. You give them something to learn. And bragging rights are nice. The thing is, like, what I really don't like is the format.
Okay.
Because the first 3 games don't matter at all. It's a best of 5 afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard to motivate yourself for those first 3 games. So probably against TSM, Luca will want to win because it's Sven there, you know? But afterwards, it's kind of hard to feel like, okay, why are we actually try-harding here if the best of 5 is the relay race is the important part of the tournament, right? Because nobody will care if you go 6-0 in groups, but then they win the best of 5. So I expect the first 3 games to be a bit more sloppy from each team in A as well, and then the best of 5 will have higher quality. I think, but as I said, the 10 players of Fnatic Origin didn't have a chance to show themselves on the international stage. So that's a small tournament for them to actually show how good they are. So I think it's not going to be hard for them to motivate themselves.
I mean, I like the Sven angle that you bring up because not only for Luca, for Perks, but also for Mithy going up against his former bot laner on the Origin side. It's a story that I'm personally excited to watch.
Yep.
I mean, Vedius, what's your take then, and your expectations maybe for some of the North American teams as well?
Well, Grabs.
Don't redirect. I asked you the question.
I know.
What is this?
I know. But you gotta bear with me
My
for a second.
players will say I'm gonna talk too much, please.
No,
like, you have to talk
no.
now.
He has all I know is right. Grabs likes to tease, and Grabs told me that they have a bunch of champions prepared, right? And then we coming into the split.
Why are you leaking his stuff?
No,
I just talked about the advantages that he's like saying that.
I don't know what they've prepared. All I know is they have all these champions prepared. For all I know, they can play every... when I speak to Perks, he's always like, I can play every champion. So what does that really tell me, right? Right? But what I'm curious about, right, is because we like to sprinkle in the 7 wonders of the LEC. And now I'm wondering if we might get to see another wonder.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I tried to
I am
stop
not
him.
prepared for that one.
Yeah?
Listen, let's turn our attention to one other thing, right? There's one other thing that will be happening. It is going to be a very, very special show match. Okay, we've got some golden oldies, relics, pieces of furniture, apparently former pros. These 10 players will be taking to the Rift, Grabs. Youngbuck, Medic, Ocelots, Peke, and Deficio taking on Westrise, Kobe, Reginald, Dyrus, and Lick. We've got a few role swaps in there. I love the fact that Ocelot will be playing mid. By the way, I'm assuming this is just the roster, right? And Peke will be playing bot. That's going to be something special.
I think there was a tweet about also wants to go bot lane.
Also wants to go bot lane so that he doesn't have to see Peke.
He wants to like harvest energy of Umajan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it'll work out, but if I see that in a roster, I'm not too worried.
Okay,
Yeah, NA roster's good.
And but now, is this just Kobe? Like, are you just looking at Kobe, Dyrus, and like hoping?
No, but I know Restrice probably still plays like every now and again, and even if you don't play for a long time, like it's not hard to get back to Diamond if you're once like higher than that.
We have Peke and AD. Do you remember how that went? And
I have no confidence in this European team at all, Trav. This, I can tell you, it's Heimerdinger top, Sejuani jungle, it's Ari mid, it's Sivir and Zyra. That's the comp they can and only will play.
You're giving me a good idea for Cyber, actually.
Like that, you know, like Youngbuck was the Heimerdinger one trick. Medic, if he has to jungle, the only 2 he can play are the ones that I've had to teach him. And then, like, the last time I duo queued with Ocelot, well, that was an experience.
I love having some fun with this one. And Grabs, I do need to ask you a very professional, like, as a coach perspective. Do you remember watching Deficio when he was playing on Copenhagen Wolves? Do you remember back in 2000?
I wanted to say I'm kind of worried with an OG bot lane, 2 OG players. And if they play like the team, then we might have trouble. But
Okay, right. Now, I'm glad you bring that up because Deficio likes to pretend with rose-tinted glasses that his summer split performance on Nami and Zyra back in 2013
Nami, yeah.
was the best. He says some nonsense about having like a highest KDA and whatnot. I mean, was he a good player? I mean, I know the answer is no, but I want to know how bad was he?
I mean, I was a fan back then even, so I didn't even...
no! You buy
No,
into
not of him, of the game.
Oh,
No. Like, don't go too far. No. Like, back then, I had certain aspiration of becoming pro. So I watched the games like kind of on the sidelines. So I'm not too sure how good he was.
Well, obviously it didn't stand out if you don't have any memories. That's all the proof I need, right?
Pretty much. I'm sorry, Martin, but...
Don't apologize. He deserves it.
I spent a whole season duo queuing with Deficio. We had like a 70% win rate. I will say he's a good Zyra player. I'll give him Zyra. That's it.
He likes to think he was good on Nami.
He's 100% not good at Nami.
Can Steve buy the win? Joke didn't land. Right. That's it for Rift Rivals, and we'll be starting next Thursday. I do just have one more topic I want to discuss that's a little bit freeform before we move on to close out the day. Earlier, before the Fnatic game, I did a special segment that I doubt you would have caught grabs. But Reckless, he got himself 1,486 kills leading up to today's games. Now, he picked up another 4 today, so technically, he's at 1,490 kills, 10 away from 1,500. And the animation that you're looking at, Grabs, is all of the professional players that have made it into the top kills leaderboard since we've been tracking the stat all the way back in 2013. It will be wrapping up very, very shortly. And I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about what this top sort of 10 looks like. Because look, Perks joins the league, only been here for what, 3.5 years. He's already in the top 5.
Gankos is second.
Power of Evil. Feathervin is still in sort of our top... Froggen is still in our top 10 kills. This is just in European professional games. And he hasn't played yet in years.
To be fair, if you buckle it down to minutes played, I think Froggen will be not that high. They had some 80-minute games all the time, so I can see why it many kills. I for sure will hear a lot about Jankos being so high because he will be like bragging about it. So I really hate this graphic. Caps is also already breaking in there.
Isn't that terrifying? 680 kills and he's been 2.5 years in the league, if that.
Wait, when did Perks join? 2016?
2016 spring.
So he's now 3.5 years.
There you go.
So he's gotten 300 more kills. No.
2/3 of Perks kills.
Yeah, 2/3 of Perk kills, 1 layer less. So there you are, Caps. You got to get another 230 kills.
I think it's also important to note, right, that over the years the metas have changed a lot, number of kills. I think the pace and the number of kills has been slowly ramping up. I think if you were to equate many, different leagues, metas, and seasons. But I mean, I was surprised when I looked at this. Vizichachi, Hyonan, and Power of Evil are names that caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting to see them, but Kabi, when I think of his performances, Pekin, Nukeduck, none of those were surprises to me. Are there any that stand out for you, Grabs?
Let me check. Peck is pretty high actually still.
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising.
He was very good for a few years at the beginning of ULCS.
Yeah, I know.
I chose my words there very carefully.
He's very good for a long time.
I just want to see, like, I don't remember, like, how much more, how many seasons Odoamne and Chachi have over CarboShot. Because that they're above him kind of surprises me. And I reckon it will change like over next year, probably. That CarboShot will catch up.
I mean, CarboShot joined 2014 with Gambit, wasn't it? Whereas Odo and Chachi, I would assume, joined around the same time, if not a little bit before.
Yeah, I would need to double check. My memory's a little bit hazy on that one. But nevertheless, Reckless got himself 4 more kills. He's 10 away from 1,500. So that's just a little fun one that I wanted to get back on the broadcast. We're going to move on to the Kia Player of the Game leaderboard. Perks is currently number 1, followed by Vizichachi as well as Broxer. It is important to note that in the event of ties, the player that has received the highest percentage of votes will be coming out on top. I think Perks won Kia Player of the Game earlier today, so he's sitting up there. Only one G2 member up on the top list. I mean,
to be fair, we only have 5 wins.
Yeah, I mean, Broxer and Reckless 2 and 2. Vander sitting at 2, so he's one with a higher percentage.
What's important to remember about Player of the Games is that when you win a lot, if it's due to multiple different people, then they obviously get split around a lot, right? Which is why you have like Broxer and Reckless on here, right? However, when we had SK, all of their wins came from a single player. So Selfmade was sitting at the top of the board for a really long time, right? So if anything, it's pretty good for G2 because it means that they have a lot of potential carry performers. But for Splice, it's also important to note that Vizicachi has made a lot of those massive highlight plays, right? Like the Cannons and the Nars and the Poppies as well. So like, player of the game, in my opinion, tells you nothing, but it is always fun to look at.
It's a fan vote, and fans, we love that you vote. We're going to be closing out week 3 soon, so let's get another look at the best moments from the Rift in our Alienware big plays. Starting with top laner Sacre. He's making headlines in his first LEC split yesterday on Gnar. He proved that he was indeed SK's missing link.
But Misfits are retreating. Crown shot caught out. It might be enough damage to take him down. They can't even kill the AD carry when he's caught out, when he's out of position. Misfits do not have the damage. True shot barrage coming in as SK look to push down mid.
I don't know if they're going to be able to secure this tower. They did take a little bit too much damage. Close stuff there, but they're looking for the kill anyway.
Jumps in with the Gnar. Oh, indeed. Forbidden TPs, and that's the story of Misfits right now. Not coordinated, not alive, and they're not winning this game.
It's fine, we can still do it.
Okay,
nice. Come to me, I can give a share.
Nice, Ganesh.
Nice one.
Sacre, what the Focus.
Javan has TP, okay? Javan has TP.
Oh, I love the team reaction video.
I just love that Sacre didn't say anything. He just did it. And then at least I couldn't quite tell, but it looked like that he didn't say anything and just went for the play, and then the rest of the team followed up. Very similar to what Caps did not too long ago. One was like, I think we can turn this.
I think it's hilarious that he just walked up there. Like, there was no flashy plays, no E-jump. It just he walked up to the wall. They walked into him and the form and ulted them. So I think he was kind of surprised that it did work out the way, honestly.
Well, it worked out amazing. I think I won him key player of the game yesterday as well. We've discussed a lot around who has the best pike in LEC.
Oh, no.
After yesterday, there's no more room for debate. Hylissang is the king of the ocean.
A lot of these plates in the middle lane, but it's not actually allowing G2 to gain any.
Oh my God! There's no way you should be able to hit that. Cap still able to get away, but Hylissang on the chase couldn't quite land the Tiamat. Hylissang, he's buying for the best pike in Europe. Cap straight. No way! No way! Through the heart of our Spring Split MVP.
Run soon and group mid and pop Herald.
Maybe. Predator roll off. They're hunting me, maybe. They're looking for me. I don't know what's going on. I can speed you. We're looking for a kill. Ah, this really check.
Yeah, what can I say? He was in Cap's head a bit this game, for sure.
Yeah.
But he did nothing that Mickey couldn't do. Honestly, I did not expect Fnatic to have these big cojones to pick Pike in 1-2. So next time I just first pick Pike, and then he can show what he did.
I really love that.
I don't want the narrative to be he is the best now for sure, because we couldn't play him. Like, it's just the best of all. He took it. So
Listen,
what are we supposed to do?
Undefeated team. It's the #1 squad in EU.
Unofficial world champion.
Unofficial world champion. Now they took the belt from. They've got the best pike. Like, we've got the proof.
What has G2 even got left?
How do you even combat that? Fans at home, try and help Grabs out. Does he have any ammunition?
I mean, I don't need help. I need just rematch. That's all I need.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
There will be one later in the split. Listen, in our match of the week, one man got the party rolling with some well-placed barrels, leaving every Fnatic fan, I'm sorry,
Oh my
saying
God.
thank you, Roxa.
Remember, it's just a flash body slam to CC duration, and you'll pop Caps like a balloon.
Cap shows that he gets the kill, but Boxer's here. Against his former teammate, Boxer will get the second kill for Fnatic.
The biggest thing is look at Wonder's health and mana, and look at Hylissang.
Boxer still has flash, Hylissang on his way. Wonder has a flash of his own, dodging around, but there's the body slam, the CC chain! Cap's just dodging around as much as he can, surviving for as long as he can, but you have to think Whipper will get there with the chase the Shroud use. Cap's still dodging away, the belly bot comes out, and eventually Caps will fall, gifted over to Whippo.
I'm cutting.
Can we go on Akali?
I have no summoner side.
I told you, I'm coming back in. It doesn't matter, we win.
No flash, no flash.
Nice, guys.
Go get Tony.
I'm walking out.
That means Boxer can look for the gank. Wonder underneath the tower trying to dodge away. Flashes early, Boxer's still there. The slice and dice from Whippo will chase him under the tower. Has to flash the wall. Hylissang trying to clear out the wave as much as he can. Because here's Boxer, the knockback on Wonder, but Wonder dodging around with the Vanguard's edge and back in.
Look, there's only one thing to say.
Thanks,
Thank
Mr.
Mr. Broxer.
Say it, Grabs. Say it.
I won't.
I think that's fair. I actually
Internationally, I will. But for now,
I actually forgot that 2 of the 3 clips were Fnatic versus G2. So I have to say,
forgot. Okay.
Mr. Grabs for being a good sport and playing with us.
All I want to say is, because you mentioned Django's before, I think in the first 5 clips of that, Django said grass could be there. Okay. And suddenly LNI has been slain. So I think the map pack was a bit tilted there, but sure, Broxah played well.
Congratulations to Fnatic for the win yesterday. Thank you again for the insight. Just the last few things before we wrap up the show. The LEC will be returning on Friday, the 12th of July. Mark your calendars. It's 3 weeks away from now, and is because of Rift Rivals, then break week. Let's check some of the matchups. And Vedius, what jumps out to you on our first show?
Ooh, Rogue versus Schalke could be good. Splice versus SK could be solid. I feel like those are the only ones that really stand out to me. Everything else kind of feels one-sided on paper towards the second half. Unless Misfits fix a lot of their issues, I don't really see them challenging G2. I'd love to see a leader versus Caps. I think that would be fun.
It'd be super fun to watch.
Yeah.
Whether it's 4-0 or 0-4 on leader, that's kind of the
Or
way it
Caps.
would- oh yeah, Caps or Crabs, right? Caps or Crabs and leader. We'll have to see. I mean, any other matchup you'd like to watch that day, Grabs?
No, I think Splice SK is on paper the most interesting matchup, because I'm not quite sure who wins that one.
Yeah.
The others are clearer for sure. And we have last game again.
Hey, the most popular team, most popular team. But yeah, perfect. So as I said, 12th of July, that's when we're back across the Atlantic. Team Liquid versus Golden Guardians is coming up in the not-too-distant future. You can catch all the action from the LEC in our rebroadcast immediately following the LCS. Grabs, thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Last week and this week.
Always a pleasure, Mr.
Venice, you
Grabs.
were okay. That was
My job.
Yeah, you leak. Stop leaking. That was
I leaked nothing.
Thank you very much. Join us next Thursday as Rift Rivals kicks off in Los Angeles. Hopefully we take down NA. See you then.
What do you mean, hopefully?
Thank you so much.
I leaked nothing.